This is Big 400, the Hustleweight, Jay Bishop, and we drinking at Moe's.
This is Drinkinatmos, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's all so mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin' at Moe's, where we don't quit. Drinkin' at Moe's, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, always a scream.
You know, I've always said here at Drinkinatmos, just because it says drinking at Moe's does not mean it has to be alcoholic. So I'm happy to say Drinking at Moe's is sponsored by Prince Nana Coffee. The exact same guy you see every week on Dynamite, on Collision. Yes, he has his own coffee, and it's freaking delicious. They don't even roast those beans until you've placed your order. And you might be telling me, hey, Big Mo, I'm more of a tea guy. They got you covered there too. Use the referral link in the description of this video. And let's get you dancing like Prince Nana with Prince Nana Coffee. All right, everybody, welcome. Drinking at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff on YouTube, because the
And
YouTube.
hit that post notification bell. Everyone
Yes.
forgets to do the post notification bell.
I even forget to mention about the damn bell. Hit the damn bell, because Lord knows YouTube's algorithm continues to be a pain in my ass. Where most places you find the audio podcast too. Today, I'm excited to have with me Mr. 400.
Big 400,
Big 400.
Jay
Big
Bishop.
Jay Bishop. How the hell are you doing?
You know what? Every day with Jesus Christ is a good day, man. I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you having me on.
I've been looking forward to having you on, and yes, I've definitely had a lot to be grateful for this last year. My wife and I had been through a lot with trying to have a little one, and well, Christmas Eve last year, bam, here he shows up, and we're getting ready for the first birthday. So,
Man, ain't that big. Plus, hold up. This is episode what?
400.
400 with Big 400. So it's a big way. What a way to close out the year. You don't get no bigger or better than that.
Oh, indeed. Absolutely. So, Lord knows I get into enough tangents on this show. We'll probably get into it later. But the thing I like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan? And then, double on that, what got you started actually making the leap into the business?
Man, I was a kid. I saw a clip of wrestling on television one day, and it was just an instinctive thing where I knew, like, from that day forward, I couldn't have been more than a couple years old. I was going to be a professional wrestler. From that day on, and I believe the clip was like Rikishi and Kurt Angle. I actually found the match like a year ago of the exact match that I watched, and I think the match was like, I don't know. I'm not going to say the year, but it was, quite a while ago. I was probably about one or two. And man, from that day forward, I would just tell everyone, I'm going to be a professional wrestler. I'm going to be in WWE. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. This is my dream. And, it was something I never grew out of it. As a matter of fact, I just kept growing and growing and growing. And now I'm Big 400, so, and we've been doing it for quite a while. What made me leap into it, Mo, I lived with my uncle at one period of time, and he said, Jeremiah J, if you play football and try out football, complete the season of football, I'll pay for wrestling school if you find one. And so I did that, played football for a season, fell in love with football as well. I love contact sports. Anything where we can go get physical, just compete. And then I ended up finding a lucha libre school and in Chicago that would allow me to train after everyone else said I was too young. And we just I like to tell people I was too stupid to quit. In reality, I was probably just too passionate, like just too determined in my own mindset of like every day is just me versus me. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna wake up every day and just try to get better at, whatever this is. So I would study matches and have no idea what to look for. I remember I joined my high school's wrestling team, and I would take MMA classes and whatnot and compete just to get better at combat sports in general, at grappling in general. And it all kind of tied into professional wrestling. So that's kind of how I jumped in a nutshell. That's the short story.
Oh yeah, no, I actually just had this talk the other day about back when I played football myself, and being back high school, being the kid that got bullied, but I was still playing football. I just remember thinking, because I got asked about what I enjoyed about it, I said, you know, nothing like having an outlet to release your aggression and not get in trouble for it.
You know what? A lot of kids need it because football changed my life. Professional wrestling saved my life. Everything I did growing up, just as a side note, was weighed against, at one point period of time, was weighed against, would this stop me from making it in professional wrestling, getting signed to a TV contract? So I've never drugs, I've never taken pills, I've never smoked cigarettes, never smoked weed, never been drunk. And so, I don't have any tattoos. It was all because, like, when I was a kid, for example, someone at some point told me, like, oh, WWE doesn't like people with tattoos because of copyright issues or trademark issues and whatnot. So it can ruin somebody's opportunity. And I was like 8 years old when I heard that. Whoever said it was probably had no idea what they were talking about, but it just got ingrained in my mind. And so I was like, you know what? No tattoos for me. Um, you know, and I've lived my life in a way where I do my best to keep my social media clean, no politics, no this, no that. Everything was like, I want to make sure I can be as marketable as possible for any platform that I can go and compete on.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Oh,
business. I have to build the brand, and I want the brand to, especially with the brand of 400, to be
yeah.
as appealing to the masses as possible, so that we can be on that national, platform. But going back to it, I think having some sort of going back to contact sports, having contact sports where you can just go out and let out aggression, you know, um, and physically compete against someone else, not only builds character but also helps shape and form and build young men, especially if God gives you the blessing of good coaches in your life. I had some coaches that you know
No.
small things that changed my life forever grateful of them for them.
Oh yeah. No, I'm definitely grateful for the coaches that I definitely had. And I mean, you went a little bit further than I did, because I mean, I saw about a NCAA athlete. I didn't get anywhere near that far into it. But being from well, my hometown's about an hour south of where I live now, but still about an hour away from where the Nebraska Cornhuskers play football. And well, the season ticket streak in my family has been since that sellout streak for the football games there had started, like the entire time. It started with my dad's uncle. His health went downhill, so he did whatever legal paperwork he had to do. Now my dad and one of his brothers split it, and I go to at least a game a year. It's just NCAA football is kind of ingrained into things here in Nebraska, because I mean, the closest pro football teams we have to here is either Kansas City, Chicago, or Denver.
That's fair. But you also can't forget the Arena League. So I
Oh,
played,
that too.
yeah. I was blessed to play and at the college level. And then when I relocated to Texas, I quickly got recruited to play at the professional level in the arena leagues. And
Yeah.
arena football is a different beast in itself because it's much more fast paced, it's more explosive, it's more aggressive, it's more violent, it's more high stakes. I mean, if you've ever been to an arena game, I don't have to tell you, one of those indoor football games, that it is a feeling and an energy that is rarely matched in any other environment. Um, it kind of almost gets close to professional wrestling. It's that big. And
I've heard.
if you've never had the opportunity to go to an arena game, there's several leagues. There's the NAL, IFL. I had the opportunity to play in the AIFA. You should 400% make sure you go out there and check out some of those games because football is American tradition. It's American culture.
For sure.
When if you're American, you should live and breathe and bleed football. There's
Oh
nothing
yeah.
better than putting on the pads and just hitting somebody.
Oh yeah. Nope. I can 100%, 400% agree with you there. I know. My house as far as football is a little divided because me being a lifelong Green Bay Packer guy, I married into a family full of 49er fans, and
Oh no.
oh god, it is very awkward when I go over to watch the game with them and I'm the lone Packer guy sitting in the midst of a bunch of 49ers
Got
fans.
to watch your back, got to watch your left, your right, look over your shoulder, check your food, make sure they ain't poisoning you. Man, I mean, you're going to start some fights with that.
Oh yeah, but then Arena League, we do have a team here in Omaha. I forget what league they're in, but the Omaha Beef.
Yes, NAL team, I believe, is when
I
they're.
believe so. Yes, and I I've been meaning to go to a game of theirs because I just you and then a bunch of other people that I know they just sell it so well that I'm like, well, damn, I need to find a time to get out there to one.
And they're one hell of a team. They just won a championship
That they
just a
did.
couple of years ago. Yeah, so I mean, definitely a great organization to check out. Any of them. You even got the Green Bay Blizzard up in Green Bay, obviously. How I don't know how you're relatively close to Iowa. You got the Steamulers. My buddy that I went to college with. Actually, I played football with him in college. He was the he was in the office
Mm.
and a talent scout for them or a scout for them. So no, those games. If you ever get the opportunity, you should just get yourself some tickets, man. It's relatively inexpensive compared to like the UFL or the NFL for sure.
Yeah.
It's a great night for the whole family to go see some football, man. And it's much more faster paced. It's a much faster and more explosive game style. So even the family members who might not think of football as their cup of tea will be able to stay engaged because everything is just so much, faster moving. It's moving so much faster.
Oh yeah. No, and definitely there's a lot of people out there that would definitely be drawn to that. And I know I gravitate towards, you know, getting back into wrestling. I gravitate towards a lot of those intense personas and, some of the fast paced, hard hitting action. Sounds like that would just be right up my damn alley. Now, what was, you know, we mentioned some of the similarities in getting prepared through football and into wrestling. What was it like, when you finally made that transition from, you've done, you know, training in wrestling, you've played football, NCAA, and into the AIFA, and now you're in the ring, traveling the world. A lot of football players end up, I guess, not, I wouldn't say an easy transition because Lord knows I've heard, especially when we talk about combat sports, I've heard MMA fighters talk about professional wrestling training being harder because, in MMA training, you're getting trained to not try to not get knocked down. Professional wrestling training, you're getting knocked down all the damn time.
Oh yeah. Professional wrestling is the toughest sport anyone could ever do. The fact is, you have this saying today where they say wrestling's for everyone. Yeah, wrestling's for everyone, but the majority of people are meant to be in the seats, you know,
Yeesh.
because the majority of people are not built for it. Um, you know, I've seen plenty of people come and go where they would try out and then realize this isn't ballet. This isn't fake. It's not tap dance like everyone thinks it is. This
Yeah.
is a competitive sport. I tell people all the time, professional wrestling is two-thirds competitive sport. It's two-thirds competition and one-third entertainment, as with anything. Professional football is two-thirds competitive sport, one-third entertainment, because you have to build a brand if you want to progress and succeed. It doesn't matter how good you are at beating your opponents if nobody cares about seeing you win. So you have to build a brand. You have to build a cult following,
Mhm.
behind yourself. You are a business. And so uh, a lot of people come in with this misconception that it's going to be easy or it's not going to be painful or you're not going to sustain injuries. And they have a very rude awakening. They step in the ring for the first time and then, quickly make the decision that that would be the last time they ever went anywhere near a ring. So,
Oh yeah,
yes.
I remember doing a pro wrestling boot camp before a show here locally. That I mean, the building doesn't exist anymore because it got torn down, but it was actually at a convention center that was attached to the hotel I was put in the night before I left for Navy boot camp. So when I was driving up, I was just having the hugest laugh out of I left this building going to one boot camp and getting paid to go to that one. Now I'm going back to this building for another boot camp and I'm paying for that one. And just the hugest laugh out of that. But I can verify from even that boot camp experience that, yeah, we got just a small taste of what y'all go through there. And, we got to run the roast. We got to take a few bumps. I was walking funny for about a week.
Oh yeah, because they think we're gonna run the ropes. They don't realize that's not ropes. That's elevator cable. That's
Yep.
airplane cable, right? So when you lean back into that, it shoots you off like a slingshot.
Yep.
That ring is a steel frame with 2x6s going 20 feet down each side. And you get less padding than a high school wrestling mat.
Oh, God. Yeah. That mat is very thin. Like,
Yeah. And then let's talk about the promoters who fail to switch out their padding every so many years. So you got 10-year-olds,
uh,
you might as well be, falling on concrete.
oh, gosh. Yeah. And like, you hear about promotions that do those bare bones matches where they take out the padding and it's just the wood. It's like that just sounds like when they don't switch out the padding, like, yeah, you might as well just call it that.
Yeah. Or the new no ring matches are some of the best matches I've done.
Oh, dude. I actually, my not my first death match that I ever got to see live. That was actually at Sammy Callahan's promotion Revolver.
Mhm.
But I went to a no ring show, and let's just say I was thankful I wore closed toed shoes to that thing
Yeah.
because somebody used light tubes and it ended up the metal connector end on either end. Part of it flew out and about hit me in the foot. And then gusset plates also got, yeah, that same thing happened with the damn gusset plates. So, yeah, I was thankful I wore closed toed shoes to that damn thing.
Light tubes, tacks, gusset plates, glass, doors. Jesus, man. You ever see someone get hit over the head with a door and it just explodes everywhere and you got wood chips flying over? And eye
Actually,
protection too.
many times actually there was one. again at Sammy Callahan's promotion. There was like I'm trying to remember what the name of the damn. It was kind of like war games without the cage because everybody brought in their own weapons and stuff, and it was kind of the staggered, and one of the persons that was in that match was actually Macklin. Love that guy. But I remember sitting on the other end of the venue, and all of a sudden I heard I'm not even kidding, sounded like a damn gunshot. And then I see footage on the way home, and it was literally him swinging like half a door and just wham.
It's how guys get concussions. CT is very common in professional wrestling, so
So
it's definitely a it's not tap dance. I tell people all the time, this is not ballet.
oh yeah,
Give
and
people
I
professional
like I
wrestling.
oh yeah, like I said, I gravitate towards those intense personas. I actually, speaking of the deathmatch guys, John Wayne Murdoch actually sent me this.
Oh, it's amazing.
So yeah, I've actually had him on twice.
Very cool. Very cool.
Uh, yep, but
You have a great collection behind you. I'm very jealous of it. I've been building my own collection of collectibles. You got some Funko Pops I see. I don't have too many of those, but I got a couple figures that I picked up in Japan. I picked up a bunch of merch and memorabilia on this last Japan trip I took. And then I also, as a growing up, I used to be big into collecting. I had a bunch of silver and things like that.
nice,
Baseball cards dating back to like the 1940s, 1930s.
nice.
Go and collect just cards constantly as a kid. So actually, tomorrow I'm meeting up with a guy, and I'm gonna pick up some sealed um, baseball cards that he has. They're sealed
The
box
long, like, full
1990s,
sets of them.
yeah, from the 1990s and 80s. He's just like clearing out his house, and I think somebody like passed away. So, family getting rid of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're gonna go
But
pick
yeah,
that up.
a lot of pro wrestling and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I grew up on the original cartoon, so I'm slowly having to rebuild some of my collection. But you mentioned the Funko Pops. Before we get into some of the promotions and places you've been to, Michelangelo was always my favorite Ninja Turtle.
Okay.
And I literally met the voice behind Michelangelo from that original
Amazing.
cartoon and got, bam, signed by him.
That's amazing. Very cool.
And the first two movies, like back in the 90s, the guy behind Splinter.
Oh wow, that's actually really cool. Man, you should put those behind some glass or something.
So,
Those
trust
are
me,
very
I'm in the process of, you know, obviously after having my son, which I mean, I love him to death. I don't want anybody getting that twisted. Money gets like that you might have planned on going to something like that kind of gets allocated elsewhere.
Oh yeah, they're gonna siphon all your money, while you're living, and then when you die, they get to double dip off the life insurance. That's
But
exactly what's gonna happen.
then going into, I actually met this guy. Well, it very shortly after, well, very shortly before he ended up taking his own life. But Jason David Frank.
Oh wow. Okay.
But okay, we'll get into, because I'm kind of proud of some of my autograph figures because they're all up here. But one that I am kind of proud of, that I mean, you don't really see too many figures for this guy right now. Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, actually, I saw that exact figure in Japan at one of the stores.
Yeah, I
Cool.
met I met him at Warrior Wrestling out of Chicago. They did a show in St. Louis a few years ago where Jeff Cobb had a match against he was Jonah, but Bronson Reed. Jeff Cobb versus Bronson Reed at that show. And I actually got to have a shorter episode with Bronson Reed at that fan fest.
Very cool.
So I'm proud of my little collection back here.
Yeah, because collecting is not about having the stuff, it's the moments and the memories that are tied to the things.
Yes. And that's why with the autograph stuff, I don't generally buy already autographed. I like having the item and going and taking it to the person and having that memory with them and being able to tell stories about meeting Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, well, when I make it out to the Omaha area, we'll meet up and we'll get you an autographed 400 action figure. Those are in progress right now.
I would love that. So, speaking of some of the places that you have been to, I've been lucky enough with the 400 episodes to find out about a lot of places, and I'm still learning about new ones even now. But some of the places that I've already been introduced to, like Loco Wrestling down in Texas.
Shout out to Hyman.
Those shows look like
Ryder.
fun.
Hold up. Shout out to Lowrider. Those shows are insane. Those shows are insane. But go ahead. Sorry. Before I
No, what is it? What has your experience been like with them?
Showed me love. The Houston wrestling scene is unlike any other wrestling scene anywhere that you can find. I genuinely think the fans in Houston are the craziest, if not one of the craziest fans you can find in any scene. They have a lust for just the craziest, biggest stunts, most dangerous death matches. They love to see competition and big personas and big stunts. And then you throw in the hybrid culture of lucha libre because you're so close to Mexico. So,
yeah,
come in from Mexico to Houston consistently. You have, very, reputable or well-known. They're locally well-known promotions like Coliseo Houston. I'll be there this Sunday. That run every week in Houston, and Houston is something special. If you haven't had the opportunity to wrestle or work in Houston, or even attend a show if you're a fan, that's something you need to see because they just have a plethora of options for you to go see some pretty good and entertaining professional wrestling, whether it be the craziness that Lowrider puts on, and Loco Wrestling and which he's now running Extreme Factory. So shout out to them. I just had my debut for Extreme Factory this past weekend. And Big 400 is still undefeated. Picked up that W there, and then so if it's not that, then you could be talking about the WWE ID program they got at Booker T's Reality of Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be returning there in January, so that's
nice.
an announcement we'll put out there. But just there's such a deep and rich culture for professional wrestling, for combat sports, for hybrid professional wrestling, for lucha libre. It's just kind of like this melting pot that you don't get anywhere else, if that makes sense. Everyone's to Texas for wrestling.
Oh yeah, no, Texas definitely has a rich scene there, and I share the love for the lucha libre side of things because when I got my start watching independent wrestling was actually when I was stationed in San Diego, and I just Googled pro wrestling in San Diego. Off to the races I went, and Southern California into Mexico, that's like another like rich area for lucha libre culture there, as well as various places throughout Texas.
Oh yeah, it's unlike when you find those scenes, it's unlike anything you can find more up north.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I got spoiled. I got spoiled where I was.
The fast-paced, high adrenaline,
yeah.
hard-hitting You know, mixed with the technical, mixed with the strong style, mixed with the hold for hold grappling, you know, the shooters, if you will,
Yeah.
mixed with the big personas and the you know just the flashy stunts that you'll see a lot of guys take. You know, these high risk. Some of these guys, I just honestly think they don't fear death. It's insane. You know,
Oh yeah. No,
it's
there.
something special.
Oh God, yeah. And seeing when it, oh God, getting spoiled where I was and seeing some of the stunts, like, oh God, one of my favorites, and one when I see it done cleanly is like just such a, oh man, it's a sight to see. But the Spanish Fly, seeing somebody pull off a clean Spanish Fly is just hmm, lovely.
Takes a lot of technique.
That it does. And I've even been lucky through the podcast to one of my very first, like, I think it was one of my very first out of Nebraska names were the guys that literally invented the Spanish Fly. The Maximo brothers, the SATs.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've talked to them, but they were like getting to talk to them, and I just remember seeing and watching some of their matches, preparing for it, and just seeing the way they would pull it off is just masterclass.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Now you've also been in. I know we chatted about this a little before we started, but you know there was a match graphic that was made for a show that was like affiliated with AAA, which Lord
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
if they weren't allowed to, with everything going on with AAA being under the.
Desist lawsuits. You'd have lawyers, you know, basically beating you on the back of the head. Yeah, no, Big 400 made his debut for Triple A. Triple A runs these regional house shows, if you will, the equivalent to a WWE house show, and a lot of times they'll bring in low, you know, different talents and whatnot. So through some connections from Houston and then some promotions I've worked for near the border of Mexico, somebody had approached me and offered, said, "Hey, we got an event coming up. We'd love to have you there." And you know, was, if the money's right, I'm there. So I went there. Was a great experience. Met a lot of guys. Met some of the people from the office. I don't speak Spanish, but you know, through translators, things seemed pretty solid. So um, they run a lot of events, and they're kind of pushing some more events more into Texas now. Because how it works is you have these local partner promotions, like Three Bat Promotions is the one that does it in Laredo, Nuevo Laredo area, and they'll go and license the AAA name and the talent and go through the office to basically be the boots on the ground, the street team, the promote, the local promoter to
Yeah,
run these house shows. Just because they have just such a massive roster, they got to keep in rotation.
yeah.
Similar to any other company that runs house shows. That was a great experience. Man, that night, let me see, that was a Friday because Thursday I got the call from Ninja Mac. Shout out Ninja Mac, and I
Oh
went
yeah, Ninja Man.
to Juggalo Championship Wrestling like
Mm.
last minute. I was gonna head out to Laredo the day before and just you know get there, but went there, did some work and debuted for Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Great promotion.
Oh
Hit
yeah.
the road right after that. Drove straight to Laredo. Got there like an hour before my match. I had to leave right after that to get back up north, another 10 hours north to, you know, get to another scheduled appearance and booking. So, uh, but it was just a high. That whole weekend was just a high that that really uh, it's the fruits of my hustle. I know that, but it's really something that makes me stop and just be thankful that I even have the opportunity to hustle and earn these opportunities. Uh,
Oh, for sure.
Everything I've ever done has been just built off of failing forward, failing upwards, and having that relentless don't quit, figure it out, hustle through the barriers, you know,
Oh yeah.
go through every roadblock mentality that I've always had. Whether you like me, love me, hate me, Big 400 is always going to hustle, you
Oh
know, and you got most people lock in and they say, you know what, I respect it. I'm with you. 400 gang. You know, we keep it 400. And, you know, we're going to hustle with you because we respect it. Hustle, you know, game knows game, hustlers know hustlers. And everyone understands that anything worth having is not easily handed to you. And they see what I've been doing. They see the results. And the majority of people see that and lock in. Then you got the haters, you know, especially people who might have known me way back when, you know, because they don't like to see you grow past where you come from, you know. And so, you know, you just had someone who made a comment on social media recently because shout out to one of my trainers, you know, is putting me over, and you know, you just have guys that don't like to see others surpass them. I love to see people surpass me. Please out hustle me because that just means I got to do more. And at the same time, I'm not even competing with you. I'm competing with me. I compete with the man in the mirror I got to look at every day and say, what am I doing to be better than I was yesterday?
Oh yeah.
Brick by brick, we built this, you know. And for this career of Jay Bishop of the Hustleweight, I had to dig down deep for years, you know, in some of the most obscure, taking some of the most obscure bookings, traveling without pay, you know, paying my own way, doing this, doing that, just to hustle and hope for an opportunity that wasn't even guaranteed. Sometimes I drive 10 hours just to go set up a ring. You know, I'm glad those days ain't anymore, but you know, that's what I had to do just to you know, dig deep so I could build up high. You know, the deeper the foundation, the higher the structure. So yeah, no, it's AAA was one of those opportunities that I'm very grateful for. Shout out to Rudy.
Yeah.
That
But yeah, no, that and you know, speaking of, you know, AAA and, you know, Mexico, you're definitely world traveled. I mean, hell, you've been over to Japan recently, and I've only ever
undefeated in Japan.
Undefeated in Japan, yeah, and that's not something to take lightly there.
Never been pinned in Tokyo.
Mm.
It's going to stay that way.
Yes, we definitely going to stay that way.
And if anyone thinks that you can change that, I wish you would try.
Oh yeah,
I dare you. I want all the smoke. Let me know. Let me
all
know.
of it. But yeah, I've only ever got to, when I was on deployment, we anchored off of Japan for a while, so I got to see it. I never got to be there. You've been there, and I love hearing about everybody's experiences over there because it always sounds like, and I mean justifiably so, there's like definitely a bucket list for just about anybody in the business, and when you get there, it's just like, wow.
Well, Japan is reserved for creme de la creme of the professional wrestling industry. Professional wrestling in Japan is a national sport. As far as my experiences there, man, I came back with a Ribera jacket. So what does that tell you? You know,
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
I saw that. And that's like,
and that steak there's amazing, great food. If you get the opportunity to go eat there, go to Ribera Steakhouse. They got 2 locations. Well, I was out there because I'm a mark for it. I went out and got food at both just to see.
Hell yeah.
Amazing food, great food. And I was out there long enough where I was like, you know, plus I need steak, man. I got to eat. Japan is great culture, rich culture, good food. Jay Bishop is over 6'6". I was ducking under doorways, hitting my head on stuff. That was the one downside of Japan. Everything's so small, or either that or I'm just big. I mean, because I barely fit anywhere out here. But you know, that was a great experience, and I got some of those matches on my YouTube channel.
Oh man, I'm definitely gonna be going and watching more, but that Ribera jacket is definitely a coveted item for anybody in the business that has gone over there. And I've overheard people say about just buying one, but man, you
can't buy one.
You can't, and it's like there's just something special about when you've earned the damn thing.
Maybe you can buy a fake one off of like from India or something. I don't know.
But when you get the genuine article, that's something special.
Yeah.
Anybody in the wrestling business that knows anything knows you get over there, you want to get that damn jacket.
Well, if it's bestowed upon you, I was
It,
lucky enough to be there. Um, it was just kind of a surprise. I don't even know what the conversations between everyone was, honestly. And then I ended up being the only one there out of the couple workers that were there that got one. So that was a great honor. Very blessed and privileged for that, But at the same time, fruits of my hustle, I'm always in this balancing act between saying, I did this, and then on the other side, it's like, man, I'm grateful I got the opportunities to do this and to earn this and to prove myself because I'm still proving myself,
oh yeah,
until you see even when you see Big 400 back on a major platform again, right? Whether it be TNA, MLW, NXT, WWE, anywhere it ends up being, I'm gonna put it like this. Even when we get there, that's just a launching pad to hustle more, to work more, to sacrifice more, to invest more. Because yes, it's for me, but it's also for others. The amount of messages I get where people say, man, I've heard your story. I know what you've overcome in life. I know what you come from. Or even some people in my personal life who knew me as a kid and saw some of the struggles in my upbringing, right? The instability, um, the the lack of opportunities, making something out of nothing. And they said, man, just because you did that, I respect it, man. And it inspires me to keep going in my own situations. I have no excuses because you didn't make any. Because Big 400 don't make excuses.
yeah.
And I
No,
get I
that's
hold them
definitely.
and I readjust and reattack.
Oh, most definitely an inspiring look at everything. Now, I have two categories here that I kind of round stuff off with a bit. First one's a bit of a name game where I name off some people. You give me some quick thoughts on them, and I try to theme it
Can I
towards
bury
this.
people?
Huh?
Can I bury people?
I mean, if you
I hate
want,
them all. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Go ahead.
but I try to theme it.
Especially Trinell. Give me Trinell. I'll just give you this one for free.
Okay.
He's back to wrestling. This man done broke his hip a year ago. I dare you, step back in the ring with Big 400. I'll break the other hip.
Hmm.
I'm glad he came back, but that
Yeah.
man still thinks he we have this back and forth thing about like who's the number one super heavyweight in professional wrestling today. Is it Trinell, formerly known as Quincy Elliott on NXT, or Big 400? Like that's an obvious thing. If you look at the scoreboard, I've pinned him more times than he's had countouts with me. So, look at that. In
Hey.
multiple continents, in multiple countries, internationally.
Oh. Now, each of these
Go
people,
on. Yeah, go
each of
ahead.
these people that I name, there's a common theme with them. I try to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. Two of them, well, actually, three of them have been pretty big over in Japan. They're all great big men throughout wrestling. The first two are legendary big men in the business. So I give you the name, first thoughts that pop in your head. The first one of my personal favorites, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Legend, not built like Big 400. I mean, one of the best to do it in his era, but I'm the best in my era.
Yeah, no, I still, we talked about some of my collections. You mentioned the Funko Pops. The ones that I keep out of the box are the ones that people that I'm not going to get autographed because they're dead. Well, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah, one of the most respectable super heavyweights in professional wrestling. You know,
Oh,
definitely deserves honor.
and just the look on.
Wrestling aside, deserves
Oh,
respect.
oh, for sure, for sure. Now, Oh God. Okay. Before we go into the next one, because I just got to thinking, the look on my face the first time I watched the movie Major Pain, and I see Bam Bam Bigelow walking in during that scene, I'm like, ah, like holy crap. I was already loving that movie, but then the wrestling fan in me seeing Bam Bam Bigelow in there, I'm like, ah, ah.
Well, Bam Bam just kind of had a presence that's similar to Big 400's presence. You know, guys like us, we walk in the room and all eyes immediately gravitate, and they just it's just like you got 100 eyes in the room glued on you, thousands of eyes glued on you. Every single person just is looking, and they just can't stop because you got these massive stars in front of you that you just don't get to see every day. You know, we're spectacles. So he's one of those
No.
guys, especially with the tattoos and whatnot that he had and the athleticism. You know, I've had some people compare me to Bam Bam in different ways, especially back in 2020 when I was doing moonsaults.
Mm.
And they saw that at training, and they were like, man, you do that like Bam Bam. And I was like, yeah. uh, you know, or does he do it like me? I don't know. I think mine's a little bit better. You know, and whatnot. So no, but Bam Bam's a great guy.
Oh yeah. Now next one, another legendary big man, and actually another one of the Funko Pops I have up here. Vader.
Vader, another football player,
Another football guy.
another lineman, another legend. But I've had a lot of people, far more than Vader. I've had a lot of people compare me to Vader, especially once I announced that I was touring Japan. A lot of people said, you know, hey man, you're gonna, you know, probably take, you know, be compared to Vader and this and that. I said that's cool, you know, but it's not going to be a comparison from me to him. It's going to be him to me because I'm better. I mean, I'm bigger than Vader was. You know, I'm better. I'm more athletic than he was. Vader was great. I'm not taking nothing away from him.
Oh yeah.
He's not Jay Bishop. That's just a fact. And, you know, I think it's obvious that when you go and you see me squatting multiple men on my shoulders, you know, in Japan, when did he ever do that? You know, throwing around people like ragdolls like me. Now he's good, but you're not gonna find a super heavyweight that's better than Big 400 Jay Bishop. It's that I am the new and improved model, you know. So I guess I'm not supposed to be. I'm not bearing him in any way.
No, yeah, no.
Right, but like, you know, a lot of people, it kind of annoys me when people are like, "Oh, you're like Vader." No, brother. That's like saying you have a Sega Genesis to my gaming PC. You know, I'm new, improved, and better. I'm the modern era number one super heavyweight in 2025 going into 2026 today.
Oh,
I'm the number one draft pick. Look, Mo, be honest. Name one super heavyweight better than Big 400. I'll wait.
yeah, I can't think of one.
I'm waiting.
Yep, I can't think of one. Now, although the next two people currently they're two great big men. I've been lucky enough to meet them both, so it's kind of a double theme here. Two big men, and you know I've actually got to meet them both. First one, I kind of mentioned about him a little bit ago. Unfortunately, I didn't get one of. I do have a figure of his, but I didn't get it autographed at that time. Big Bronson Reed.
Okay. Big 400 is head and shoulders taller than him.
Yeah.
I'm noticing like a theme in these people you're naming. None of them could whoop me. If you put any of those guys in their prime, I'm not talking about latter years Vader. I'm talking about prime Vader, prime Bam Bam, prime Jonah, Bronson Reed, today, current Bronson, whoever you want to talk. If they want to really, they can't see eye to eye with me. So if they want to go toe to toe with Big 400, ain't nobody whooping me, bro.
I mean,
that's the common theme. I think you just want me to just be like, I don't know what you want me to say because, like, all due respect, what are they going to do? You know, like, I guess I'm supposed to say, like, oh, they're good performers. Yeah. Is Bronson Reed great? Yeah, of course. Is he me? No.
No, that's
He's the guy
definitely
that's been doing it longer than I have. And the day he steps in the ring with me, if he's ever unfortunate enough to do so, he's going to get exposed. That's why guys like him wouldn't take that match. That'd be a big money match, but he wouldn't take that match because he has a brand to protect.
oh, yeah.
Same thing like if Vader or those guys would. There's super heavyweights right now. Someone else just pitched another match with a big super heavyweight, and the guy on the Indies, and the guy turned it down because they don't want to get exposed. Um, when they know, like, oh man, on camera, people are going to see like this dude's actually bigger than me. Big J Bishop's damn near 6'7". Flat
Yeah.
foot, no lifts in my boots. Come on now. So, I'm 443 pounds. Like when it comes down to it, this is a modern era where professional wrestling heavyweights are 5'11", 5'10", and 280 pounds.
Yeah.
You got a 250 pounder being called a heavyweight, and I'm 200 pounds heavier than them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just, I try telling people all the time, like, you can't beat Big J Bishop. Size, experience, athleticism, youth. I ain't even hit my peak yet. I'm not even in my prime. I'm in my mid-20s. So, but no, phenomenal, guy, phenomenal professional wrestler, great competitor who, lots of love for what he does.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched a whole lot of his work, but I have watched his work. Never seen bad work from Bronson Reed. But I also know that he wouldn't take that match because he'd get exposed real quick.
Yeah. No. And I guess these him and my last guy on this list are just two guys that I'm like, man, knowing the athleticism from you and them is like matches that I know big men that I would definitely love to see if it ever got to happen. Now, the last one, a guy that he's actually one of my autograph figures up there. You can't really see, but Keith Lee.
Okay. Keith Lee, the guy who came up out of Texas. I know some of his original trainers from out here. Keith Lee, another dude who would fold if he went toe-to-toe with Big 400. As a matter of fact, that's a dude that some of his old trainers that he originally broke in around, the guys that helped coach him, not his official trainer, but guys that he broke in around have told me, like, man, I want to see this match because you're just about bigger than him, You guys both as wide as refrigerators. And like, yeah, of course, that would be a big money match, but Keith Lee wouldn't take that match. Not now, especially not now. He don't want the smoke. Why would Keith Lee step in the ring with a 20-something-year-old prime 400? He's in the days where, I get it because there's the arc, right? The progress of someone's career. The young, hungry hustler, they get their big break. They deliver, Keith Lee's delivered time and time and time again. One of the best heavyweights there is, a genuine big man, Keith Lee versus 400 would kind of be like Kobe versus Michael Jordan, but we both know who's better, Kobe or Michael Jordan, right? You got the debate, but everyone knows who the true GOAT is. Kind of like Keith Lee versus Big 400, everyone knows exactly who I am and what I would do to that man just to prove a point because he don't got that dog in him for real. See, Keith Lee's been there, done that. He has several T-shirts. I've yet to put pen to ink to paper, bro. For him, it'd be another payday. For me, I'd have a point to prove.
Definitely some that, yeah, when thinking about it, yeah, for you, yeah, feeling like you have.
The fact is, if he stepped in the ring with me, there'd only be one of us that'd be willing to die to win. The man's coming.
Most definitely.
He would fold. Easy. Everyone folds under 400 pounds of pressure. I don't care who the name is, who you put in. Give me 100 more names. The answer is the same every single time.
All right.
Everyone folds under 400 pounds of pressure. And I've delivered on that. I've proven. That's not a check. That's not something you just have to hear me say lip service on. Go watch the matches.
Oh, yeah.
I cash checks, brother. I cash checks.
Most definitely. Now, I got some random questions, some wrestling related, some not, some nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. Why the random? So I give you the question first answer that pops into your head.
Okay.
First the one that I really one of only two that's questions that I never take out of this category. Craziest in match moment for you? Like craziest, like oh my
This
god
past
moment.
weekend was one of the, like, when you say moments, you mean like just craziest circumstances?
The craziest circumstances, or I've had people tell me about, they ended up getting a match against like some oh some lost my train of thought there for a second, but like a huge name that's coming from like one of the big companies that like AEW or TNA where they allow their people to do independent stuff. They're coming in and it's just like, whoa, you just saw this person on TV and now you're standing across the ring from stuff
Would I
like
get to
that.
stand across the ring from them, or would they get to stand across the ring from Big 400? You know, the GOAT, the number one free agent in professional wrestling today, the number one super heavyweight unsigned today,
But
the number
yeah,
one super heavyweight, period.
but yeah,
Um,
craziest in match moment for you.
so craziest in circumstance was this past weekend. We were working out in Houston and we had back-to-back shows. We had to get a buddy to another booking he had. I wasn't booked, but I still had my gear under my clothes. And I was just sitting in the crowd watching the event. Mid-match, his brother gets dropped on his head, completely out. They should have stopped the match, but it's Lucha. And promoter calls me over. He's like, "Hey, can you go finish this tag team match for me?" And so, it's 2 out of 3 falls, of course. And I just go in there and I do my thing, step in the ring. Everyone immediately starts chanting 400. And, we go and dominate, deliver like every single time we do. Um, I think my craziest in match moment for me, or my craziest moment in wrestling in general, uh, would probably be, honestly, I don't have an answer for that. I've done stuff. I've, had opportunities to, I guess, share the ring with guys like Al Snow on multiple occasions, Jake Chris, works for the big promotions. And, I've, worked with like Trinell and, Microman and, who the hell else, a Lowrider. I've shared the ring with dozens of names, all the NWA guys that I got to work with in 2024 um, when I was doing that stuff. But like, I'm still working for that moment. I've never slowed down and just savored the moment because
Hmm.
everything I do, everything Jay Bishop does is just that next brick that we're using to build this foundation. Brick by brick, we're building the foundation to get to that moment. And that moment, to be clear, is a world heavyweight championship on the
Hmm.
biggest national platforms.
No, yeah, no, that's got to be the goal.
Yeah,
Now,
I've had people overlook me my whole life, inside of wrestling, outside of wrestling. And I'm an expert in proving people wrong.
hmm, no, I can definitely relate because I pretty much made my life out of proving people wrong from high school all the way through when I enlisted, and I had people in my hometown laughing at me when I was telling them about enlisting, and then just using that as my motivation. Anytime anything got tough, I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not proving them right. I'm proving them wrong. And now,
And even bigger than that, I prove myself right. I care
it,
less about proving you wrong and more about proving myself right.
it, you know what? That is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm a son of a drug dealer, man. I should probably be dead. I'm from Chicago, so I prove myself right every day. Again, Me versus me every single time. Never fold, just reload.
Oh yeah.
I do day after day after day after day, night after night, fight after fight, city after city. You know, everything I do is building to that moment. But my bad. Go ahead with your next question.
Oh no, you're good. Now, not just in Texas, because Texas is the big state that it is. Going over to Japan and everything, and everywhere that you go, there's a lot of long road trips and long flights. What is your favorite way of travel entertainment? Like, you got one of those portable DVD players, or uh, whatever it might be.
I'm not a big fan of entertainment. I don't have a television in my house. I got a bookshelf. There is a large bookshelf with roughly 340 books right there to my right. Should be right this way.
Yeah.
I read. So normally if I'm on a flight, I'm listening to an audio book.
Okay.
I'll have the book in front of me as well. So I'll listen to the audiobook at 2x speed. That way I can read and listen at the same time. So my whole mind is engaged in it and I can kill the book a little bit faster.
Oh, hey,
Nonfiction, marketing, business, sales.
hey. Now, next up, as of this recording, we are inching closer to Thanksgiving, one of the biggest eating days of the year, probably right before the Super Bowl, really. But what is like a must-have Thanksgiving food for you? Like something that's like you're going someplace for your Thanksgiving meal, and like they gotta have that.
I live in Texas. You better have some brisket.
Mm.
You better have some smoked barbecue brisket, beef brisket.
Oh,
I'm going to say turkey and yams and everything else. Bring me brisket. That's what I want. If it's not brisket, last Thanksgiving, we threw a goat on the smoker.
wow.
Giant smoker, whole goat, bam.
Wow. I don't think I've heard that for Thanksgiving. That's something though. That's something. I love hearing about different stuff everybody has. I know. Oh God, I love. Well, you brought up turkey. I do love a good fried or smoked turkey. When you
Now, have you ever had a deep fried turkey?
Yes.
Deep fried turkey, smoked turkey, yes. As a matter of fact, I got two turkeys in brine right now. One's going to be deep fried, one's going to be smoked.
Nice.
We're just testing out a new brine for Thanksgiving coming up here.
Oh, love it. Yeah. No, now I'm making myself hungry now, and I just ate a little while ago. Fuck. All right. Now, for a name of a show like feel like I have to ask this question. Favorite drink, and it doesn't have to be alcoholic, but you know, alcoholic or non or either.
Water.
Water. Hey, got to stay hydrated.
Gotta say, I don't drink alcohol.
Hey, nothing but respect for that.
Yeah, no, but I've cut out a lot of juices. Even though I've been drinking cranberry juice here. I've been watching it because I just realized throughout the course of this afternoon I've drinking half a bottle of cranberry juice. But no, water for sure. I'm drinking water every day, all day throughout the day.
Hey.
I'm a water snob though, so I just won't drink any water. I have to drink like spring water,
Okay.
have different tastes to them. So, um, I don't want to get too deep into that, but the water you drink is very important to your health.
Oh, that it is. I probably need to drink way more of it than I do, but yeah, I always tell everybody, just because it says drinking at Moe's, and I do drink on while recording occasionally. I make it known that just because it says drinking at Moe's doesn't mean that it has to be alcoholic. Because I've had people on that for one reason or another don't drink. So I try to be very inclusive and respectful of everybody. Now, okay, there we go. Now, last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling?
Don't,
Wouldn't be the first person to answer it with
don't,
that. Yeah.
don't. You want to get into wrestling? Don't. It's a hobby for you. Don't. This is serious.
Hmm?
This is a sport. There was a conversation the other day about guys who, they start training, they graduate from wrestling training school, and they never go to a practice again. You know, why is the U.S. professional football players? We didn't skip practice. Any other sport you practice consistently. Why is this any different? You always have to be in there honing your craft. If you want to get into professional wrestling, don't. Now, if you're committed to making the business better than how you found it, do.
Hmm? Well, good way to look at it because, yeah, you definitely want to leave something better than, where you found it. Definitely.
If you want to get into professional wrestling, you need to find a good trainer.
That is the top priority when getting in for sure.
I drop into schools all the time, you know, and especially in the Midwest, there's not many good schools. In Texas, you got a handful of solid schools, especially up in Dallas. You got SOAR, OIWA Wrestling Academy out in Paris, Texas. You got DFW All Pro with Lou Gotti in Dallas. Those are some good wrestling schools I've dropped in and just done workouts with and drop-ins with. Just got to stay active, just never stop hustling. Um, but there are not many good professional wrestling schools that will help you make a career in professional wrestling. Anyone, and in wrestling, you have the blind leading the blind leading the blind. You got some guy who has wrestled for 10 or 12 years and he's mostly local, and he's just a guy that is now making his money by selling the dream to other people. But the fact is, you can't go further than your own trainer. He couldn't get himself signed, so how's he going to get you signed? Right. And then at the same time, let's look at half the schools. Half of these schools are ran by, local guys that have never actually made money or paid bills with wrestling. Here's a hot take. You're not a professional wrestling veteran unless you've actually paid your bills with professional wrestling. Unless you've paid your bills with professional wrestling. I just told that to someone the other day because they're like, "You're a vet. Can I get advice?" And I said, "Am I a vet? I get paid well, but I still am hustling. I'm still working for that big contract." Said, hot take, you're not a vet unless you pay your bills with professional wrestling. Um, and I don't mean hustling some kids into paying you to, train with you. I mean, unless you pay your bills by stepping into the ring and lacing up boots, and taking bumps, you ain't it. You're a hobbyist, you know. Um, you're a hobbyist. That's just the fact of the matter. So um, there's a lot of guys who don't understand that when they're getting into wrestling. They go to these schools and they drink the Kool-Aid and they think, hey, me just being here is going to get me where I need to be. Well, no, that's not the case. How is your trainer going to get you further than he got himself? Unless he has connections and relationships that he has proven he can already use. And everyone's going to say they have training, connections, and they have friends and whatnot, but they're not using them. I mean, you go look at these schools, and this guy, guys going to schools. Oh yeah, we can get you signed. We can help you get this opportunity. Cool. Why is your top 3 guys here not already signed? Any given wrestling school, 9 times out of 10, when you got someone who gets signed and the school takes credit for it, those guys got themselves signed by their own hustle. And then you got their trainer taking credit for it. I got plenty of friends who are on TV right now whose trainers are saying, we got this guy signed, and they got themselves signed by their own hustle, through their own work, through their own efforts. And so if you want to get into professional wrestling, you have to understand that it takes passion and commitment and work ethic. And then you also have to realize that you need to go to find a good good wrestling school, a good wrestling trainer that has a consistent track record of getting people hired and getting people signed.
Mm.
You know, I've been sold the dream multiple times by people. Yeah, we'll get you here, we'll get you there, blah, blah, blah. Why would I listen to them? You can't even get your quote unquote, blue chip guy, there outside of, signed and hired. How could you get it to me? And now you're asking me for discounts on my rate and whatnot to do. No, thank you. You know, so that would be my advice, is to like understand that you got to go find a good, reputable trainer who can teach you how to work. And then you have to put the ball in your hands, to branch out and hustle and get work everywhere you possibly can, from the East Coast to the West Coast, up north, down south, internationally, to get the reps and build the brand that you could, the biggest brand you possibly can to get signed. And now, that being said, there are plenty of good professional wrestling trainers and coaches who will help you along the way. Just because someone hadn't been signed themselves doesn't mean that they're incapable of helping you, right? They're further along the journey than you are. So when I started, I had guys who, today are, I look at that, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe, I used to think this guy was a great wrestler, that, these guys, were coaches at a wrestling school I went to when I was, a young teenager. And, that's no disrespect to them. It's just, they helped me at that level and they got me to that level, but there was only so far they could help me. Right. And then I came across other guys that helped me get to certain levels. And I came across other guys that helped me get somewhere. And in my, journey, you got to just understand, I've seen a lot of people that they go to one place and they stay at that one place and they don't know when to start branching out, because they're listening to people who haven't, who don't have their best interests at heart, because if you branch out, you build a bigger brand, there's more demand for you to, for bookings, you're going to have less availability for them. You're going to start charging them higher fit fees, so having the right coaches for you, is, and I've had a lot of people that have helped me and I'm grateful for every single one. But I think had someone just explained to me what I just explained now, when I was much younger, 10 years ago, um, I'd be a lot further, because I didn't understand as a teenager the business of keeping people in the dark, in terms of what it actually takes to make it. So I'm really grateful for certain guys who did smarten me up. Atlas J. Horn, one of the best guys that helped me out. Tony Rican, one of the best guys that ever helped me out. Oh my freaking God. Angel Armani. Oh my, if anyone is in Milwaukee and they want to be a professional wrestler, you go get a hold of Angel Armani. That's one of the best coaches you can get. Um, you know, like there's few guys in professional wrestling today who I think are like just world-class coaches that actually don't just pump out wrestlers, but they create, they help mold workers, guys who have a shot and have a track record of training guys who go on to have careers. You're talking about guys like Mike Elgin, right? Mike Elgin, yeah, he has a phenomenal resume for himself, but he has an even better resume in helping give people the tools to go get paid and get a contract somewhere. Angel Armani has a resume of people he has trained that are on television today and working in the majors, for the biggest platforms. Even some of them work in the office today, and made careers in professional wrestling because of, the tools that he gave them. So Armani is like one of those cases. And see, sometimes it's hit or miss, because Armani's like one of those cases where, like, he says it all the time. Don't be like Angel Armani. Every time I train with him up in Milwaukee, anytime I'm anywhere in the Midwest, I'll go drive 5 hours to Milwaukee to go train with him. Because, he'll say all the time, like, don't be like Angel Armani. Don't make these mistakes that stop me from progressing further, And so while he might have never been a John Cena or, one of those guys that you saw on weekly television, he's one of those guys that is a unsung hero of professional wrestling when it comes to helping certain individuals get the tools to develop a career. Those three guys were Atlas Horn, Tony Rican, and Angel Armani came across at the right times for me, and really gave me the tools at the right times to develop at the level I was at. I know this is long-winded, but that's my genuine advice to anyone who wants to break into professional wrestling. I always joke around and say don't, because a lot of guys want to do it as a hobby, and I just think like, man, this shouldn't be a hobby. You should have a goal for it. There's many other hobbies that are a lot less risky, that can end in permanent, injury, like collecting cards, and that's just as cool. But or collecting Funko Pops, and that's fine, or podcasting, or doing something else that doesn't involve risking your life. Um, and and so, what was I getting at? But that's my advice, But my serious advice is find a good trainer, find somebody who has a track record like an Angel Armani, like a Mike Elgin, and and just sit under that learning tree as much as you can, because even if you're a trained wrestler, there's so many trained wrestlers in Milwaukee who don't listen to Angel Armani. And if they just did, they'd be so much further along. I mean, oh my goodness. Every time I've had the opportunity to learn from that guy and I've applied what he told me to do, I leveled up. So, the proof is in the pudding. And, he doesn't advertise himself. He's a very humble guy. He's one of the most sincere and genuine guys you could ever meet. He's just like an old guy in Milwaukee who helps train a lot of the kids. I think these days he's more selective on who he trains, but he's a guy, like, you find guys like that can really help you. And he's helped me out tremendously and just like giving me advice and learning the business. And he'll text me every now and then, and he keeps up with like the stuff that I do, and like, hey, you did this and this sucked, and it's like, and then he calls me and he's like, here's how you fix it next time. And like, I just appreciate, I can never be more grateful for Angel Armani, because that guy, I tell him all the time, like, I really like Angel Armani, the wrestler, but I love Mike. I respect Mike. So find a good trainer. That's and then do not hesitate to start branching out once you're ready to, and branch out beyond your 40-mile or 50-mile radius. Go. I don't care what it is. If you cut out your Starbucks or cut out your eating out and whatnot, and you track flight deals, go find the $99 flights. Especially if you're not my size, because I can't fit in those Spirit flights. Geez, if I could do that. But but there's plenty of times when I've paid for my own flights to go get an opportunity somewhere.
No,
those developed into me getting my flights paid for. So,
hey, no, definitely great advice. Now, before we go, where can people find you social media wise, so they don't already have their eyes on Big 400?
You go on Google and you type in Big 400. YouTube, Big 400 J Bishop. Instagram at the Hustleweight. So like heavyweight, but it's Hustleweight, no spaces, at the Hustleweight. On Facebook, Big J, Bigjay, no spaces, Bishop, Big 400. You'll find me. I'm not on TikTok because that's just gonna waste too much time. I am on Twitter, big underscore faux, HUNNID, I believe, Big 400. And we're on there. I'm hustling. I'm in the gym more than I am on social media, or I'm studying matches or something more than I am on social media. So I'm not posting and tweeting every hour, but I am on there. If anyone wants to book Big 400, feel free to email me at it's Hustleweight, HUSTLEWEIGHT @gmail.com, or just DM me on Instagram, the Hustleweight, and we can do business if it makes sense.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll get all that in the description. Well, that is about all I have. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. Been an absolute pleasure, and you are welcome back anytime.
Well, I appreciate you, and thank you, Mo, for what you do. Thank you for what you do, and everything that you contribute to professional wrestling, especially on the independent scene, and putting in the work that you've put in. I appreciate it a lot, And I want to say this real quick too. If anyone wants to see Big 400 in Texas, man, make sure you check me out. Follow me on social media. I got plenty of dates coming up with SOAR Championship Wrestling. And I got a handful of dates coming up in Houston and San Antonio as well. So you know. Man, another trainer I need to give a shout out to.
Hmm.
A guy who is a really good trainer. Speaking of San Antonio, Rudy Boy Gonzalez at the Texas
Mm.
Wrestling Academy. Oh my God. Another guy who, has helped, that they have a resume for some guys who've made careers out of there. So,
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, can't forget about that. Well,
Rudy Boy just randomly messages me on Facebook and it's like, man, I'm so proud to see you doing good.
good deal. That is awesome. I love hearing when people that have trained some of the names out there are keeping up with everybody. I
I'm
love
not
it.
even a graduate of his school or anything like that. I've worked a couple shows for him. So I'm not saying like I trained with him or anything, but
But
like he's supportive of professional wrestling and
yeah,
a hustler. So like, that's a big guy that, that I think doesn't get enough credit for uh, being a good voice in the professional wrestling.
oh,
So
for sure, for sure. Well, that is about it. Again, thank you so much. Wow, getting over some damn allergies. Now let me see if I have this damn issue with this fucking button again.
hey, it's all good. We'll keep it
Yeah.